never quit. You control your own destiny at the end of the day. You're going to run into rough patches in your life. But the big question is, how are you going to overcome them? How are you going to make your life better each by every day?
You are now tuning in to the Roughnecks podcast with your host, Cole Nixon. Much love.
One last thing before we get into today's episode. A lot of people ask how they can support the podcast. Well, I have a couple easy ways. The first way is just listen and subscribe. And another thing you can do is go follow the Roughnecks podcast on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube as well. If you get something out of today's show, then do me a favor, share it with a friend. If you really want to go above and beyond to support the podcast, then head over to roughneckspodcast.com and get you some of that merch. I appreciate all of the support, but let's get into today's episode. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Roughnecks podcast. This is episode 99. I had to check to make sure. It should be episode 99, I believe. I'm pretty much done saying what episode it is because everything's going to be recorded at various times, and I'm just going to take the recordings when I can get them. But episode 99 of the Roughnecks podcast. And before we get into today's episode, I have one thing that I want to talk about, and it is episode 100 will be this Friday. And this Friday, which means limited edition stickers will be out. They'll be on the website. The episode comes out at 3 p.m. They'll probably be on the website about 4 p.m. There's only 15 of them, so when they sell out, they sell out. But I want to do something for episode 100. That's pretty much all I got announcement-wise, but let's get into today's episode. Today, I have a friend from way back in the day joining me, Kyle Gibson. Welcome to the Roughnecks podcast, man.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
We were just talking about it when you got here. Probably, 5 years since we've seen each other?
Easily, probably since we played each other in high school football.
Probably senior year of high school.
Yep, exactly. That's crazy.
I won't get too much into that game. We'll get into that game, don't worry.
Oh, yeah. I can only imagine.
But just to kick off the episode, just kind of tell the Roughnecks listeners who you are.
First things first, my name's Kyle Gibson, as you said. A lot of people know me as Gibby. It's kind of a thing that's always been a part of me my whole life. My dad was called Gibby, so it kind of got passed down to me. I'm a graduate of Newark Catholic High School. Like you said, we know each other way back when, so I used to attend Watkins Memorial. Grew up together, played sports together, so it's kind of cool to reconnect with Cole here. Also, I got an opportunity to play college football at the University of Findlay. Played there for 4 years as defensive end, and now currently I am scheduled to leave July 7th for the United States Air Force for special warfare, so I'm kind of on the process of that and looking forward to that and getting out of here and starting my new chapter in my life.
Yeah, so can you remember when the hell we met each other? Would it have been we were in kindergarten together, weren't we?
I think it might have been preschool, dude. Back over
at that church.
That church preschool.
I don't even know what the church was called, but they're off 310.
Yeah, right over there by the baseball fields, kind of, yeah. Maybe either that or kindergarten. I don't really remember.
It's crazy to think that we were with each other freaking every weekend at one of another houses.
Well, yeah, we lived not even 2 minutes from each other growing up, so it was always convenient, going over and seeing each other and just doing dumb shit outside and doing whatever.
I remember you had that dirt bike that you used to run laps around in at your house. that Yamaha.
Yeah, a little 80, little 3-speed. I remember that.
You used to just rip around, but in your neighborhood too. We rode the bus together since we lived so close, and a bunch of people lived in your neighborhood that we'd always hang out with as well. And I mean, heck, even we got to the point where there was 4 of us, me, you, Marcus, and Alex, and we all just kind of hung out all the time. And
we lived within 2 miles, not even
because Alex was my neighbor. So.
And pretty much Marcus was too. He backed up to your land, so we were
always with each other.
Always with each other. Always riding the bus together, just doing some fun stuff, man. It was cool growing up around your 3 best friends growing up so close. You don't have to worry about your parents driving to take you over there. We could just walk and ride bikes or whatever and do whatever we wanted, really.
Exactly. And it's crazy to also look at too, because we kind of talked about it off the air, but how you take different paths in life, and it
Mhm.
sucks, but like that's what I was like. I think me and Tyler were talking about it, or he's like, I wish I'd have gone to C-Tech, and I was like, I kind of do too, but I think a lot of things that hold people back from like doing something like that is like all their friends in high school, because in high school we're like, we all say it, we're gonna be friends forever, we're never
Yeah.
gonna separate. I mean, I'm sure we freaking said. I mean,
Well,
yeah, we're still talking, but like it's not like we see each other very often.
yeah, well, exactly. Growing up, we went to Watkins, and I didn't know I was going to go to Newark Catholic as a high schooler. Things change, people choose different paths. And I don't regret what I did, but at the same time, I was like, if I stayed at Watkins, what?
Would you have gone to Findlay? Like
Yeah,
it's kind of
exactly.
one of those
Would
things.
I have played a college sport, or would I have? You never know. People just choose different ways and succeed in different ways. And
Mhm.
I mean, I don't regret it, like I said, but at the same time, I do wish I would have stayed at Watkins just to see what happens, because I had great friends growing up, and leaving schools, we kind of disconnected. But
Mhm.
that's kind of part of life. Growing up, you're gonna disconnect and reconnect with all different types of people and meet all people from walks of life. So it's kind of cool. In high school, I had two different friend groups, so not many
Mhm.
people can say that. I had two friend groups from two different schools that really didn't like each other, but but
Yeah, because for
it's all
those who
good though.
don't know that are listening, kind of he went to Catholic, I went to Watkins, and it was like not a rivalry, but a mini rivalry. There was already one kind of from back, like my parents were like, yeah,
Yeah.
Watkins and Catholic, like that was a big deal back in the day.
Yep.
And then like most of us like on the football team like knew like you went there, so like it was a mini rivalry in
Yeah, I feel
itself.
like it kind of sparked it up more. I always look forward to it though, because it was kind of cool playing the people that you played with growing up. Now you're
Yeah.
playing against them and seeing them opposite side of the line. You're like, oh shit, here we go. We used to be buddies. Now we're like, we don't like each other right now, but
That
you
was
know,
always the fun part because Dante went to Worcester and played
yeah,
football there for a couple of years, and I played at Ohio Wesleyan. And I'll never forget. I think it was freshman year. I like had to block. I was on kickoff return. He was on kickoff, and I
that's
had to
awesome.
block him. But it was like weird because you're like, I don't know what to do right now. Like, do I try and lay my best friend
Yeah,
out, or do I
exactly.
like, hey man, like just let
Yep.
me block you, and we'll just call it even.
It's kind of cool though, because it's kind of like you don't hate each other, but you're always trying to compete with each other too, and it
Hmm.
kind of brings different kind of energy to the table. And like in college, like those dudes from all over the U.S., you didn't play against them in high school or
Hmm.
little league. In high school, you played your whole life, so it's kind of cool, and everything about them, and the kind of the shit talk. It kind of comes with it too, because you can get under their skin because you know them well, and that was always kind of cool to play against your best friends.
Yeah,
So
it was. So I wanted to ask you though, kind of like what sparked the move? Was there a reason for the move to Catholic? Or like was it just kind of like a better football standpoint, or was it something with your parents?
you know, um, I don't know if you remember, but that fight in seventh grade that happened.
No,
Well,
maybe.
okay, so Alex Lee, one of our best friends growing up. I don't know if he's gonna get mad at me talking about this or not, but anyway, we were before the bell rang, before homeroom in seventh grade. The kid that I will not mention his name, um, got in Alex's face or whatever, and like
I feel like I remember
kind of
this
pinned him
kind
against
of.
the locker. And I was next to him. I was like, I'm not a fighter. I'm not a guy that likes to get into like heated arguments or whatever. Because I was still young. I didn't know myself at the time, and they got into it, started fighting, and they were on the ground. And I was like, something in me was like, I'm just not gonna let my friend fight by himself. Like we're best friends. I always told him I have his back, and all of a sudden, I got on and we got in a fight, and and I got suspended from school for 3 days. And he had an older cousin, I believe, and he was in high school at the time. And I remember him and his like buddies were like threatening like beat me up outside of school, like oh he had a knife and all this stuff. So I had to have the vice principal walk me out to my bus every day. And-
Jesus, like you're gonna hold on. I want to a seventh grader. You're gonna go threaten a seventh grader. Like, does
right,
that make you feel good about
yeah, and
yourself?
he was probably, I don't know, 16, 17-year-old kid that was about to beat up a 12-year-old kid. I'm like, all right, that's fine, whatever. That's your life you want to live. That's cool. And that just kind of like started the transition for me. And I was like, you know what? I don't really want to go to a school where I have to worry about walking to class or walking to my
Mhm.
bus. And I've had family that graduated from Newark Catholic. All my cousins went there. My grandpa actually coached at Newark Catholic for a couple of years. So like I've always been around
You
that
always had a
community.
connection to it.
Yeah. And
Because I think I remember going over to like one of your family's houses when we were young in Newark or
yeah,
somewhere around
yeah,
Catholic.
exactly. And got to talking, and I was like, yeah. And I knew they had a good sports program, and I was always interested in sports, and that kind of like interests me too a little bit. So just ended up going there, and I loved it. It was a great 4 years. Still have my best friends today that I went to that school with. So it's cool, and that's that's what really started why I wanted to go to Newark
Hmm.
Catholic, because that never happened. I probably never would have went to. I probably never would have went to Newark
Yeah.
Catholic. You know, it's just that incident in my life that happened, and yeah, it was so long ago, and I was so young, but that just kind of like
It's crazy how like everything like it's a very cliche saying, but I'm a very firm believer of it that everything happens for a reason.
exactly.
And it we don't know what that reason is. It could be a good or bad thing. Like it could be trying to teach us a lesson, or it could be like, hey, this is just a better way to go, like a better transition to make.
Yeah, like you said, like if I didn't go to Catholic, I don't know if I would have played at Findlay. You know, I don't know what I would have done. You just never know, and once you take that leap of faith, there's no turning back.
Exactly. I like that. There's no turning back because if you turn back, then you're almost like, what's the point of even making like? Because a change of scenery is good sometimes. Like we
Yeah.
do honestly need a change of scenery, but if you don't like, if you turn back, then what was the point of even trying it
Mhm.
to begin with? And like it kind of goes into what we always talk about on this podcast with like failure. Like if you turn back, you're never gonna know what actually happened. It's just like you sometimes say like, oh, I wish maybe I wouldn't have left Watkins, but like, what would have happened? And we can't sit here and play the what if game because we will never know.
Exactly.
And you can't sit there and like you have to take those risks in a way, and they may end up being really good, or they
Yeah.
may end up just going completely wrong.
And the one big thing is I've always learned through my life is you learn best from your mistakes, and if you never take that leap of faith, you never know if you're gonna make a mistake or not. And some of the best of your life lessons that you learn are from taking that leap of faith. And definitely, I've met a lot of great connections going to Catholic. A lot of people that I've met that have my back through the end of time and everything like that. And it worked out honestly the best way possible
Yeah,
for me. And I
exactly.
have no regrets or anything like that. So it was a great move for me.
I do got to bring up one thing from one time that we played each other because we actually played each other on TV, which is really cool too.
Yeah, I
That
forgot.
was our sophomore year
Sophomore year you're at Watkins.
at Watkins.
Yeah.
That was the first time, and then we played on TV again the next year against Valley,
Yeah.
which we lost that one.
Hey,
Anyway, I'm pretty sure I don't remember who won sophomore. I think we won sophomore year. You guys won junior year. I know that.
yeah, we won junior year. Sophomore year,
I can't remember.
maybe it was Johnstown.
I don't know.
I really don't remember.
Yeah,
I know it wasn't me. So
but and then the senior year when we played each other, that was senior night for Walk. It was the
Yeah.
last game of the year. Yeah, senior
Yeah.
night at Watkins obviously
Under-
under the lights,
yeah.
and that I remember that game. A lot of things from that game, and that was probably I hate to say it, one of my favorite wins in high school. But it's not even necessarily because we beat you, but it was also like we beat Catholic, which felt good. And then also like that was just a rough year for me in general because
Yeah.
that was the year I broke my
Mhm.
elbow, sat 4 games, missed pretty much half the season,
Yeah.
and it was my senior year. And like I'm the same way as you, like I had dreams to go play college
Yep.
football. That was what I wanted to do, and I just felt like everything started falling down. Like
Yeah.
because I mean honestly, when you're out half the year, your senior year, most schools are just automatically
Exactly.
pretty much done unless you're some 4 or
Some-
5-star
yeah,
athlete.
exactly,
Like
yeah.
I wasn't a ranked athlete. I was
no,
nothing
no.
special.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucked. But it was an awesome feeling, and especially it's the last game of the year, last high school football game
Mhm.
you're ever gonna play. To win that game was awesome. But you also got to play in the North-South game, isn't that right?
Yeah, I did. That was great.
You
Great.
and Mason, and which is
Yeah.
funny because it's weird because like I knew Mason because me and him played AAU basketball together in like 8th grade.
Yeah. At first I didn't even get selected to play. It was a kid dropped out and I got a call and was like, "Hey, would you mind filling in for this kid's position?" I was like, "Well, hell yeah, I want to play a North South game. Like that's cool. Like
Yeah.
it's like the Ohio All-Star game or whatever." And I got the opportunity to play in that, and actually I met a lot of people through that game too that I actually am still in connection with today, and seeing them succeed in college was really cool too because we all had the same interest in playing
Mhm.
college football. I think there might have been only one kid on my team that didn't end up playing college football out of high school, but it was cool to be around a lot of like-minded people and get to share that opportunity with them.
Yeah, because I played in the Licking County one.
Yeah.
Which I believe that you couldn't play in it because of you got overlapped with the North-South game, or you didn't honestly want to.
I just didn't choose to. Looking back on it, I regret it. Now,
Dude,
look,
I'll be honest, that was one of the most fun football games
Yeah.
I've ever played in my entire life because you don't like a lot of the stress that you normally have of a football game is lifted, and
Yeah, oh,
you're
yeah.
literally out there playing for fun.
yeah,
And like, yeah, you want to win, but
Yeah.
like you're just like, and I don't know if you know who he is. He was the Newark kicker, Jed Quackenbush.
oh yeah, we played each other in college all
Oh,
4
dude.
years. Oh,
That
man.
dude,
yeah,
I've never seen somebody talk more shit than him. Like he talked the most smack out of everybody I met. I'm like, dude, you are the kicker, but I love it. Keep going.
yeah, that's hilarious. We actually play golf with each other all the time, and He's definitely a guy that can get in your head quick. But the funny thing is, we played in college, and I played D-line, and he was a kicker. I'm always over there chirping at him, but he wouldn't say a damn word back to me. So I'm like, all right, that's fine. Just do your thing. And he would kick a 47-yard field goal with 10 yards to spare. I'm like, damn, this kid's good. And like, you get inside the 30-yard line, it's automatic 3 points for him.
Yeah,
he's an incredible kicker and great guy
he
too.
came in as a freshman and took the kicking role.
Oh yeah, immediately.
That's what I thought, because he went to ODU.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't like them around here, but it's okay. We'll
so
talk
who
about
are the schools that you guys played at Findlay? Like, what was your conference? Who did they consist of?
Walsh, Tiffin, ODU, Hillsdale. Ashland's recently joined. Got them in our league now. Lake Erie, Kentucky Wesleyan. Let me think here. Arlington Broadus was in there for a couple years. They left my senior year. Drawing a blank here.
Heck, I could actually look it up. But
yeah, I don't know, but we always played 4 out of conference games, so we always played like Fair State.
Did you guys have a 10-game schedule, or was it 12?
11.
11.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, we only got 10, which kind of sucked. Did your senior year get affected by?
Oh hell yeah!
Like, did you actually have a fall season, or did you guys play in the spring?
So during the spring, my junior year spring was my last spring season. I think it was around March time.
It was for us. It was when we went on spring break. We never came back.
Exactly. So we always went down to Siesta Key for spring break, and that's when COVID all started to come out. We're like what the hell is this? Like,
no, I don't think anybody thought it was real at first.
And people were, we had like 16 of us down there, and we're like, shit, we're about to get stranded down here because they're closing the airports. We're like, all right, whatever, we'll stay down in Florida. I don't really care because spring ball, it's one thing for spring ball because that was honestly my least favorite part of college football. But we'll get in that later. Anyway, so we get back to school and we had a team meeting that Monday, I believe, and he was like, I don't know what our future holds or what it's looking like because all these colleges around us are canceling their spring season. We're like, all right, we'll just play it by ear. Then like a week before our first practice, we get kicked off of campus.
Mm-hmm.
And all the classes are online now, so we had to everybody had to move back home and finish up classes and no football. You couldn't go to the gym to lift. So like that was our strength coach sent us like an at-home work program.
Dude, we did for our school, like we were on Zoom every Friday.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have to join the Zoom,
Yeah.
but like if you were home, so we'd get on Zoom and do a team workout.
Yeah,
It was weird. It's so weird to be like, yeah, my senior year we did Zoom workouts. People are probably like,
what is that?
Zoom definitely benefited from COVID. I can tell you that much.
Oh, dude, they made a killing probably.
Because that's how I record every podcast.
Well, I didn't even hear about Zoom until that.
Exactly.
We would have those 120 people in the Zoom meeting for team meeting, and our
Mhm.
coach would speak. You can't even hear him because there's like so many people in there. But yeah, and it opened back up. Kind of went away there for a couple weeks, and then we all got to go back for summer workouts on campus. And I don't know, it was around August time, my senior year. Boom, season canceled.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, damn, like what am I put like? That's what you work
What's
for.
the worst
college
is
football,
like, yeah, it's your senior year. Like that's what you, like you said, that's what you worked for.
Yeah,
That's what you strived
And
for, and then like just to have it kind of taken away is like, well, shit.
yeah. And our head coach always, he played at West Virginia, and he always was like, yeah, I always tap myself on the back for being a senior on a football team because not many people make it.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about it before the
yeah.
episode. Like you guys came in with how many and only had 16?
I think we had 52 kids in my freshman year, and we graduated with 16, 17 kids. Like,
yeah, and our
that's
class had
crazy.
like 80, and we graduated 12 or
Yeah.
finished with 12 or something.
it's crazy because you going in freshman, you're like, oh wow, like these are about to be my boys for the rest of my life. Like all 52 of them, and all of a sudden, boom, first semester's over, 30 of them.
Yep.
Like what? Like we're like,
But like, heck, I don't know if you guys had this. We had people like walk out the first week.
we had 2 kids walk out the first day before we even had a meeting.
Yeah.
They moved. Their parents came in, moved all their stuff, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're done. And I was like,
Well, that was a waste of time.
dude, if I was your parents, I'd be pissed. Like,
Yeah.
I think they were from Detroit, Michigan, and they drove, I don't know how far it is from Findlay, I think roughly 2 hours or whatever. But yeah, before we had our first team meeting, quit.
That's crazy.
Like, you
That's
haven't even
crazy.
experienced it yet. Like, you got to dip your feet in the water real quick and see
See,
what
I
it's
feel like you got to give it at least one season to like
yeah, definitely.
truly like. I mean, it sucks, especially summer camp. Summer camp,
Oh, my
oh,
dude.
it sucks. Luckily, because you guys there wasn't 2 days.
No.
So
yeah,
luckily, those it changed right before we came in.
I think our senior year of high school was when the last 2 days happened for
'Cause
college because the NCAA changed the rules. Because
the kid from Kent State.
yep, I actually played with him in North South game. He was a
Really?
teammate of mine.
That's crazy.
Yep, I remember we were in camp and our group chat was still kind of going because we were all just checking in on each other. And his name was Tyler, and yeah, he passed away during a workout in Kent. I was like, wow, I just played with him 3 months ago. Now he's dead because I don't know, really.
Yeah.
I think he had a heart condition that wasn't disclosed in his
Yeah.
physical or whatever or something, which is honestly really sad because you never know when your last day is going to be. And
Exactly.
and prayers go out to him and rest in peace to my boy Tyler. But yeah, that was pretty sad because he was a cool dude, good player. I know he had big dreams. So, but yeah, that was tough. But yeah, the NCAA changed the rules for 2 days. But yeah, camp was
I'm sure your
brutal.
camp, like if my camp was rough, I'm sure yours was even worse.
Oh, I remember my first day, getting up at 5:30, breakfast 5:30, 6:30, meetings, then we have lift, then we have like lunch, then practice midday. I'm like 2:30, like 5:30. I'm like,
it's like we can't. I'd rather do it at like 8 in the morning,
Yeah.
7 in the morning, right first
and it was
thing.
horrible. It was like 21 days straight of 5:30 a.m. to 10.
Yeah,
Like,
some people are like, "Oh, we still got Sunday up." No, you got to practice.
People always say like, "Oh, you guys have off time in college." No,
No.
playing college. There was never a day that I can think of that I truly had an off day.
Like
college
camp?
football,
During camp, you had what? Maybe a couple hours,
maybe.
and then like by the time you got done at the night, you were
Yeah.
like, "Man, I'm just ready for bed."
Well,
I
after
gotta be up at
practice, you
5:30.
get like an hour after practice, shower and
Mhm.
change and treatment or whatever. Then you got dinner. Then you go right back in the meeting.
You got to watch film till
And you
10
get
o'clock at
yelled at.
night.
And you get yelled at all day. And yeah, it
Are
was.
you sure you still want to go into the military?
Well, see, if I didn't play college football, it probably wouldn't even be a thought for me.
Mhm.
I feel like college football has definitely set me up for that career path that I've chosen just because of the brotherhood. And I'm used to getting yelled at, but people always were like, I hate getting yelled at, it brings me down. But at the same time, you gotta look at it with a positive light. And there's always something coaches want to see you succeed.
Exactly.
And they always told me if I'm not yelling at you, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Or they lost faith in you.
Yep.
And you saw that truly because I had a couple of D linemen that had practice and he would just skip right over. And the players would be like, why didn't you correct me or critique me? He's like, because you don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, I guess that's true. I got yelled at all the time, so I must be doing something right? I was
Something
like,
right and wrong at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, you must hate me because he just ripped my ass.
Yeah, and I listened to a bunch of military podcasts. Like, I don't know if you listen to Jocko podcast.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
also one Cleared Hot with
Yeah.
Andy Stump. I listened to those, and I remember like one of them, they were talking to like, going through buds or whatever, and the guy's like, you know what? You finally just got to realize like they're gonna yell at you, they're
Mhm.
gonna bitch at you, but they can't hurt you, they can't kill you. Like,
Yeah.
they're gonna just push you, but like
They want
it's
you to
gonna suck.
succeed.
But like
Yeah.
you just got to deal with it and push through that mental side of things, and
You
you'll be
gotta
all right.
Take it day by day and just get through it, man. Put your head down and work.
Day by day is the big thing. I think some people get too far, like, and this is with really anything in life. Like,
Yeah.
they look too far in the future. If you start looking too far in the future, forget about the steps in between that it
Yep,
takes to get there.
exactly. And I actually have a coach right now, who's a 26-year Air Force veteran, Special Forces. He was a combat controller for 26 years, and I do like development programs with him and training for like just all different types of stuff that I'm gonna be putting myself through. And he was like, you know what? I went through with people that had a calendar, said this segment ends in 14 days. Those dudes didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
He said I would look at it exercise at a time.
Yep.
Oh, I got 2 minutes push-ups. Boom, checklist. What's next? He never looked to the end of the day or what time it was. He just got through each thing day by day, and that's when the time goes by fast and you get it done. So if you look too far ahead, then you're gonna start hyping yourself up. Oh, okay, I got this next. And you start worrying yourself, and all of a sudden, boom, I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's too long.
Yeah, I remember like now that I didn't even realize it, but like now that you say that, like I remember like certain workouts or something.
Yeah.
You'd be like, all right, because we did this arm circuit with like a plate that you had to do. And if you looked at it like, oh, we have 4 sets of this,
Yeah.
and it sucks. But if you're like, all right, I got 5 of these, all right, check. Now what's next? All right, I got 5 of these, and you just go through it like that. All of a sudden, you're done, and you're like,
You're like,
whoa,
wow, it
what-
was done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it went quick, and it's crazy. Like, and I said this a lot on the podcast. If you look at a ladder, You can't climb a ladder when they're spaced far apart.
Yeah.
The small steps in between are what get you there.
Exactly.
And sometimes, honestly, the more steps, the better. Yeah, you might be able to skip past a couple steps that you may not need. Maybe you already achieved, or like they were stepping stones, but you didn't necessarily need them. But like you can just keep going up that small ladder, and you'll be to the top in no time.
And bringing it back to summer camp, we always got to schedule our first day. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a person that did this sometimes. I would look, oh shit, like I got all these meetings, all the whole day. I'm like, those are some of my worst days, some of my worst practices, and I just, get mentally down yourself. Like, this is honestly horrible, and you're like, you can't look at it like that. You got to look at it the positive side and take it just exactly step by step, or you're not gonna enjoy the process. You're just gonna be miserable. And I was definitely a victim of that here and there through my 4 years of Findlay. It is what it is. You learn from that.
Exactly. And like, nobody's perfect. Nobody ever claims to be perfect. You make mistakes, but like you said, you learn from it. That's the whole point of mistakes, is you have to learn from them. And if you don't learn from them, you're going to go nowhere.
And people are afraid to make mistakes.
You can't be afraid to make mistakes.
It's life.
I've made. It's the simple saying: if you're not trying, or if you're not failing, you're not trying.
Exactly. And some of your greatest people that are successful in this life have failed for so long. Mm-hmm. Now they're on top of the world.
Look at, me and my brother actually just talked about this on the podcast. Michael Jordan, cut from his basketball team. Yeah. Tom Brady, drafted 199 or whatever it exactly was. Freaking even Thomas Edison, how many freaking failed inventions did he have that didn't work? But
in one click,
he's one of the most well-known inventors there is.
Yeah, and the guy I look up to a lot is David Goggins.
Dude, that
dude's a fucking animal.
Have you ever heard? I played it on episode 96, but the whole thing where he's like, "Who's gonna carry the boats? Who's gonna carry the boats?"
Yeah, dude.
It's like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah, he's just wired different. That's a rare person. But I remember before he even started thinking about the SEALs, he was like 350 pounds, just eating and drinking, and he said he was a failure at life. Now he's one of the most well-known Navy SEAls to ever live. Now he's like one of the greatest motivators you can ever listen to.
Exactly. It's crazy. Like, and it's crazy too, like what doubt can do. Cause like how many, I'm sure he said to people, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And they're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. No one's going to believe you.
But doubt is one of the biggest motivators.
100%.
You shouldn't doubt yourself. But if you have other people doubting you, use it as motivation. Yeah. Don't use it to discourage you. Just use it to motivate yourself to, prove these people wrong.
And I can kind of back that up a little bit. I've told people like, yeah, I'm going to Special Forces for Air Force. And they're like, no, dude, you're not doing that. I'm like, the hell I'm not. Yeah, the fuck I am. Yes, I am doing that. Just
because you said that made me want to do it more.
I mean, that's fine. You can say whatever you want about me, whatever. But the day comes when I graduate all this stuff, you'll be like, oh, he really did it. Mm-hmm. I'll be like, exactly.
And that's the thing is, you won't even have to say a word to him. You'll just have
exactly.
You just let the success speak for itself.
Exactly.
That's where I think sometimes social media can kill you with that. But like some people want to just like rub it in their face. Yeah. Like, no, you don't need to, because if you rub it in their face, you almost win in a way.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back.
They almost win in a way.
Kind of goes back to high school football too. I wasn't some standout 4-star recruit or whatever, but I kind of doubted myself a little bit too going into college, because I played running back and linebacker in high school, and I ended up playing defensive end. And I got the call probably like a week before my freshman camp. Said Coach Macrino is our D coordinator who recruited me. Was like, hey, we're going to move you to defensive end. I was like, oh.
Are you sure?
Right. Like
in the back of your mind, like that.
Like I was weighing like 220 at the time. I'm like, dude, I'm about to go against like 330-pound dudes. Like, you sure you want to do this? And like I walk in there, my name's the sixth name on the depth chart. I was like, okay, and I got it. Like I was a freshman.
Yeah, like that's, you understand exactly why you're there, but it sucks to see. It sucks to see your name at the
And I was my biggest self-doubter at the time, and I was like, you know what? Enough of that. I'm just going to go and work and know my plays and do my job. And I ended up playing as a freshman. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of cool. Like I don't know if I saw the picture of it, but I took a picture of the depth chart and my name was 6th on the depth chart. And I was like, I'm going to make that at least 1 or 2. Like that was my goal, just to get playing time freshman year. I ended up making that a 2 by like week 3 or 4. And I ended up actually starting by week 6. And that was like a huge milestone for my career. And that's something I always ever cherish. And like, people always say, like I said, I'm not the most talented player, but hard work outworks people who don't want to work.
Exactly. That's what it comes down to. That's what a lot of people, I think, in our world don't understand. Like, you're never going to get things handed to you. You have to work your ass off. Like obviously you probably weren't the size you thought because you were not expecting to exactly go in and play that position. So you were undersized, but that just showed like you had to put more work in, that you had to
Exactly.
put more time in. So I wanted to ask you kind of how was that transition from, playing, because like you were known as a running back. Like
Yeah.
you didn't, how much linebacker did you really play in high school?
You know, because I mean, I was always tired just from offense, and
Yeah, because I mean, you did a lot of the workload
towards
for your guys' offense in
yeah,
high
and
school.
towards the end of the season, we knew we were going to the playoffs too, and my coach kind of sat me down. He was like, you know what, our defense is pretty stout as it is. We're just gonna like put you and we need you. And I was like, that's fine, I get it. But you know, playing running back and going to defensive end was a huge switch.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, but um, it was kind of cool because it comes down to having a motor. My D line coach always was like Gibson, like I like how you work, and like you're gonna be successful at this position one day. And I wasn't good as a freshman. You know, I
Because
remember
you didn't necessarily have all the skill, like
I didn't.
you weren't practicing these
People
skills.
say size doesn't matter, but in certain situations, it definitely fucking does.
There's only so much you can do to get
It
around
definitely
somebody.
does. Like I remember my first day of full live practice. My head coach was like, "I want to see you in a live scenario versus the first team offensive line." I was like, "All right." And at the time, our left tackle was, All American. I was like, "Oh, here we go." So I get in there, boom, run play up the middle. I think I get drove back probably 15, 20 yards. Got knocked down, but I got up. I made the tackle. The coach is like, I like how you got up and didn't let that affect you. And then I was like, yeah, he beat my ass off the line. Like it is what it was. And I give him props. He was a good player, but going against him every day made me a better player as well.
That's the whole thing. Like iron
Hmm.
sharpens iron. Like it's a
Exactly.
cliche saying, but like I
It's
always
honestly very true.
it's so true. Because like the times when you go against like the second team in practice or the
Yeah.
scout team or whatever, it's like sometimes you'd be like the route would like as a DB, like the route would just be terrible.
Yeah.
Like you could see it coming a mile away. But if like when you went against first team, when we did those very few times when we actually went first team on first team, for
Yeah.
us, we didn't do it that often. But like all of a sudden the receivers are a lot faster. They're a
Yeah.
lot quicker with their cuts. Like everything's a lot smoother, and you're
Yeah.
just like shit. But it was one of the best times to like learn
Yeah.
to like you learned a lot more from those sessions than
Oh
you did
yeah.
against the scout team.
Oh.
No offense to the scout team.
Oh
If you're a
yeah. No,
scout team
no.
guy, respect because like you're getting your ass kicked pretty
Yeah.
much every day.
Yeah, exactly. And I know we had a lot of like D1 transfers come into Findlay, and I was always curious what Division 1 was like. And I was like, so what's the difference between here and like Miami University? I had a good friend that played D line in Miami. He was like,
Miami of Ohio or
yeah,
Miami?
Miami,
Okay.
Ohio. Yeah. And he was like the depth. He's like 1, 2, and 3. They're all pretty much the same type of players. But at Findlay, the ones were all really good. Twos were okay. Then boom, threes was a huge drop off in talent and size wise. And I was like, all right, that makes sense because you go up against the 1 and 2s, like you're getting some good work in. And then I go over and scout team. I'm like, this is not just easy.
Yeah.
No offense to scout players. Like it is what it is. Like people develop at different times. I had to my buddy Irv, he was a scout team player his freshman year, and now he's a maniac on defense.
Mhm.
People just develop different times. And he said that, playing against the scout team or the first team O line and scout just made him that much better and gave him the opportunity to develop during his freshman and sophomore season just to be able to be a stud now. And I
Well,
was
because
like,
most of us honestly need that first year to
oh
kind of
yeah,
one, you're learning something completely new that you
yeah,
didn't know in high school.
yeah,
Because like I mean, I remember like our defense was pretty simple
yeah.
in high school, and then you go to college and it's like
Oh,
something different every single play, and you're like,
oh
there's
yeah,
27
and
different coverages. Oh, and there's 27
yeah,
different rules for each coverage.
yeah,
But like those scout team and like scout teams also how you can get recognition.
yeah.
Because like
Oh
if you
yeah,
just go balls to the walls, and now nobody loves a scout team hero, but you do
yeah,
love a scout team hero at the
yeah.
same time.
Coaches do for sure.
Yeah. But like I remember not to like boast myself, but like I remember like my freshman year, I got lucky for some reason and had the first 3 days of camp on scout team, I had an interception.
There you go.
So like, but like that was one of the ways that you get noticed. If you go
Exactly.
out there on scout team, make a few plays, you can, and if you're just a high motor, like it helps you,
Exactly.
and you're also helping yourself at the
Yeah.
same time with like developing your skills and stuff like
And you're
that.
also pushing that first team to
Yeah.
be better too.
At the end of the day, you are the best thing for the team
Yeah.
because you're what's helping the team get
Yeah.
ready.
Exactly. Yep. No doubt.
So I wanted to ask you, what was like the recruiting process like? Because I mean, I somewhat know the recruiting process, but like every school I got recruited by was D3. So
Yeah.
was it because you guys have academic or athletic. You guys can give up the half. Is that right? Athletic scholarship, or is it
Um,
kind of?
it's kind of just, I really don't know. I mean,
I just know you can actually get an athletic scholarship
yeah,
at
you can
D2,
definitely.
which you can't at the D3
So I
level.
don't know if you knew this, but I was actually a walk-on at Findlay.
Really?
Yeah,
Were you
I
preferred walk on, or like was that kind of
yeah,
your choice?
but I got zero scholarship money out of high school.
Really?
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because I had Ashland offered me a big scholarship, but I didn't want to play fullback,
Ah,
and how Dominican actually offered me a big one too, but I didn't want to play tight end.
so everybody.
So
The crazy thing is everybody wanted you to move positions.
yeah,
Uh,
no one.
no, that kind of sucks, but it also is like
But
a
I was a bigger guy at running back, and I wasn't the most
yeah. You sucked
speed.
to tackle in high school. We hated tackling you. You'd come through that hole
Yeah,
and you'd put your shoulder down and you just damn it, that
yeah. So
hurt.
I mean, the only school that really wanted me for running back was Wittenberg,
Really?
and I was like,
Well,
I
thank
was
God
like,
you didn't go there
I was
because
like,
then I would have hated you even more because that's our rival.
I was like, you know what? I might just do it because I love playing running back. I
Mhm.
did my whole life. I always played it. I always loved it. And then it was like a week before signing day, and this coach comes in from Finley. I never even heard of him.
Really?
Never even heard of him. He sat me down. He talked to me. He's like, listen, we love you. We love your type of player, and we want you to play linebacker at Finley. And I was like, yeah, I would love to. And took a visit up there a couple days later, and I sat down with the head coach, and he was like, man, we don't have money for you right now. I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, so how much? Like, Finley's expensive university. I
So
think
is
it's like,
Ohio Wesleyan. Go to Ohio Wesleyan and pay theirs.
yeah, I think it's like 47,000 a year, which is not cheap. And I
No,
was like, but he was like, you have good grades, so we can find you money another way. And I was like, all right. I think I ended up paying like around 21 my first year. Then I ended up getting on a full ride after that.
that's
So that was another thing. I was like, not to bust myself or anything like that,
yeah.
but like it was motivation of mine to get a scholarship, especially for my parents too, because I didn't want them. It's not fair putting all that money on their back, and thankfully they paid for my first year of college, so I can't thank them enough for that. So, yeah, but it worked out in the best way possible because I at the end of the day, when you're getting recruited, you want to be where you feel most at home,
Yeah.
and I feel like Finley and I don't know their strength coach really hit home for me. Like I don't know, I sat down with him too, and he was a really genuine guy that really loved Finley because he played baseball there too,
Oh,
and he's never left. He's a top notch strength coach. He has offers from any school you can imagine to be their strength coach, but he always said no. Like this is my home. I want to be here and work with these dudes. So I just ended up choosing that school, and it was the best decision I've ever made personally. That's for sure.
that reminds me of my roommate in college, Teddy. We called him Texan Teddy because he was from
Yeah.
Texas. He actually is currently a coach there
Oh
at
yeah.
Ohio Wesleyan, and like he went through it, back issue. Like he had
Yeah.
like he tried to practice, and he was the
Mhm.
most. He was like the definition of Texas, like one of the hard nosed
Yeah.
kids. He's actually who I started this podcast with originally, and
Oh
then
yeah.
he got too busy with coaching,
I
and with
got you.
coaching, it just some of the things he'd say, he
Yeah.
was like, I need to quit doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the same thing. He just never left, and like I'm pretty sure he uses that kind of stuff like in his recruiting. Like, look at me, like I never like this is where I came. Like I came from Texas,
Yeah.
played here, and I never left. Like I'm
Yeah.
coaching here now, and he moved from an intern. He was an intern his first year or two to full time coach this
There
year.
you
So
go.
props to Teddy. But
Yeah.
and it is school becomes your home. Like
Yeah.
it becomes your second home in a way.
Yeah.
Like it's your home away from home.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
it's like I mean I love when I go back to campus
Yeah.
and stuff and like
Yeah.
go to a football game, catch
Mhm.
up with the old guys, and it's just an awesome experience.
Yeah. This past season, I didn't take my fifth year just because I don't know. I just felt like I had a good career and I was content where it ended and everything. And I honestly didn't want to get hurt for what I was doing for my career, which that's just a personal decision I made, and I don't regret it. But it was kind of cool. I had a lot of buddies that I came in with that took a fifth year, and I saw them win the conference title. It was cool seeing from the sidelines to watch them play and win than actually playing. It was just a different kind of perspective. And props to the Finley Oilers for getting the GMAC championship. And I actually went up 2 weekends ago where they got the ring ceremony and spring game, and got to see all my buddies that I came in with, and it was the best time of my life to catch up all the coaches and drank with them and play golf and watch a spring game. Like you can't beat it. Like those would be my best friends for the rest of my life. So
It's always fun to be able to drink with the coaches after you graduate.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Because
yeah.
I remember when I went up and saw Teddy, because since he lives up there, and I probably shouldn't say it. Well, actually, yeah, I'm a graduate. It doesn't matter at that
Yeah,
point.
you're good.
But we went to the bar, and like 3 of my coaches are in there. I'm like, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I could 3 years ago, they'd have been like,
Yeah.
Nixon, get the hell out of here.
Exactly. Yeah, we had like a football reverse raffle type thing where all like alumni come and all the coaches actually run it, and it's free beer on tap. So I got
say no to that.
I got a lot of beer in me, and it was kind of cool to talk to coaches too when you're letting loose a little bit. And it's kind of cool to see their perspective now that you're graduated, and they can tell you different things. And I actually got dinner with my D-line coach that was all 4 years with me, and it was cool to sit down and talk with him outside of football
Yeah.
for the first time.
It's a different perspective. It's no longer a coached player perspective.
No,
it's like a friend.
It's a
like,
best friend.
Yeah.
Like, it's like he's like a father figure to me.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
And it was cool to, he actually is coaching D-line at Robert Morris now. He actually moved up, so it was cool to catch up with him and see him. He's always going to be a guy that I can always reach out to and call whenever I need to, because he's always going to be there for me. And he always told me that. And he's honestly one of the coolest dudes I've ever met in football. Yeah. he'll give it to you when you need it, but at the same time he loves you.
Yeah.
And it's just a cool relationship that not many people can say in this world. Like I know you can too, because you play college football, and it's just a different type of relationship.
Exactly. Today's episode is brought to you by roughneckspodcast.com. If you want to support the podcast, then head over to roughneckspodcast.com and grab you some of that Roughnecks merch. We have everything from t-shirts, long sleeves, sweatshirts, hats, and many more. Stay up to date on the website for new merch coming every couple months. You can place an order and it'll get sent directly to your door, and I don't even take any of the money from it. The money gets put right back into the podcast to continue to improve it for you. If you can't afford to buy some merch this time, then simply just subscribe to the newsletter, and it'll keep you up to date on all the new things that are coming. I appreciate all of the support you guys give. It doesn't go unnoticed. Let's get back to today's episode. So do you guys have like I don't know, we saw it somewhat with our coaches. Did you guys have like a coach turnover? Not necessarily like the head coach, but like some of your interns that would be there for like a year or two and then
Oh yeah, definitely
disappear?
GAs would come and go. Yeah, no doubt. Which that's cool, because they're trying to move up and move on with
And
their
a lot of
coaching
them move on
experience.
usually
Yeah.
to like bigger
Yeah.
schools.
Yeah,
Like,
no doubt.
We had coaches leave and go to Illinois. We had people go to Ball State,
Yeah.
Buffalo, like
Yep.
good times,
Oh,
big
yeah.
time schools. So like you don't blame them,
No.
but like sometimes it sucks because you're like, man, I love this coach, and then like next year you're like, all right, well, we got a new guy in here.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough my position coach never left while I
Same.
was there.
Yeah,
So
that
it
would
was
have
cool.
sucked.
Or my head coach. But actually my head coach just got a job at Ohio State.
Yeah.
So good for him. He's
What's
moving
he
up.
doing at Ohio State?
Special teams.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, so it's a good jump for him.
Wasn't that Kerry Combs? Didn't he do something?
I honestly don't know.
He sucked this year anyway. So
I'm honestly not a huge OSU fan. But now I am, because I have to now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'll be rooting for the Bucks now. So
yeah, I know Ryan Day made a lot of coaching changes
Yeah.
after this past season because there was a lot of things that
there was
just
something
didn't quite-
missing, I think, because you could tell when the
That
program's
defense
missing.
just wasn't the same.
Mhm.
Like usually Ohio State has a pretty damn good
Oh, yeah.
defense, and like I don't know, they just didn't have a standout per se.
it just that could be leadership, or that could be coaching.
Yeah.
I
Which
don't
is
know.
weird to think too, because like Kerry Combs, who was the DV's coach, before he left Ohio State, he was he had all kind Eli
Yeah.
Apple, Von Bell, like all of these
Well, he's
NFL
a
caliber
Very
guys.
well known
and then
coordinator.
and then he went to Tennessee with
Yeah.
Vrabel, and then came back and was I don't know. Well, obviously I'm not
Yeah.
in the inside, but
Yeah.
you were actually probably not the boat. Like I know you're not going to sit here and try and toot your own horn, but you were all conference. How many times were you all conference?
3 times.
3 times.
Yep.
So what years were you all conference?
Sophomore, junior, and senior.
That's crazy. So were you first team every time, or first team junior year, right?
I was first team. This is gonna sound crazy, but I was first team my sophomore year, and I was also all region my sophomore year. Junior and senior, I was second team.
Really?
So
I don't know if that's a good or bad.
I don't know, but
I mean, at least you were all conference.
the thing,
but
it I didn't care
Yeah.
really, because because we won.
That
That's really all it
you
came
weren't
down
out
to.
there, and if you're out there for yourself, like honestly, what are you doing?
The thing is, I honestly played better my junior and senior year, but my stats
Didn't show
weren't
it.
as good as my sophomore year. And I think it because college, film. Once you got film on somebody, you know what they're gonna do. And my freshman year, I didn't really show what I could do because I was underdeveloped at the time. And my sophomore year came, I just kind of exploded.
Well, and like they have nothing on you. They're not because I
Yeah.
remember, like I always remember, like from the defensive standpoint, like you've always had those players where you're like, man, I've played against them for 3 years. I know
Yeah,
this dude's good.
exactly.
I know they're gonna try and get to
Mhm.
him on this, but like you learn
Yeah.
their tendencies, you learn about the guy.
Yep.
So I feel like that's kind of probably like they were probably like, did you get doubled a lot?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna make excuses for that, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. I didn't put stats up that I planned to or whatever, but at the same time, it's not about that.
Nope.
So it is what it is. I'm not gonna go out and put 3-time all conference in my bio or things like that. It's honestly cool to have those accolades, and I have the awards on my wall, but other than that, I'm not gonna go out and
Like those awards don't define who you are.
exactly.
Like they don't like really like I'm sure yeah, they might if you're talking to some like if you're standing beside a coach and a recruit's there or something, they're like, yeah, he's all conference.
Yeah.
But like that also like it's more than that.
Yeah.
It's not just the awards
And
that
exactly.
make you who you are.
My sophomore year, dude, I made hella mistakes, but no one's gonna realize that.
Mm-mm.
In my junior and senior year, I played clean.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't think that though. You would think, oh, all these people are getting like you see all these all-American D1 people that are put crazy numbers up, but people that don't play college football don't really realize how film works.
Mm.
Like I guarantee, like, I'm not taking things away from people, but at the same time, they're not always playing for their team or playing a clean game.
Yeah.
They're just putting up those crazy stats, which is cool. But
And we know I mean, I'm sure you've played with them and I remember in high school you saw it a lot more like where you had a lot more individuals than you did team
Mhm.
guys. Like
Yep.
people cared about playing time, like they didn't care because I remember freshman year, like, yeah, obviously you're pissed that I was
Yeah.
pissed I'm not playing, but like you also come to a point where you realize if I was out there, that would not be what's best for the team.
Yeah,
Like it
exactly.
would definitely
Yeah.
not be what's best.
Yep.
And I mean, it's probably the same with you. Like when coaches come to you and you're like, "Hey, we're changing your position," because
Yeah.
I had the same thing my junior year. They put me at corner, which
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
yeah, I played a whole season at corner. I actually,
That's a tough spot to play, man.
well, especially for a slow ass white boy.
Corner, I give props to corners because man, woo.
Yeah, we went from a team that played a lot of press man to a team that played a lot of zone in my
I
junior
got you,
year.
yeah.
But my junior year was honestly stat wise probably wasn't my best year, but like as a player, I think it was one of my best years because like it just teaches you a lot about it's not about me. It's
Mhm.
and like coaches come to you like, hey, you're moving to this position. All right, whatever you got me
Yeah.
want me to do.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, we want to see the field. Whatever you want me to do, like
Mhm.
this is probably going to help me see the field. But it's also a compliment in a way if they ask you to change your position because they're almost trying to get you like they want you on the field.
Yeah.
There's better guys over here, but we can fit you here to
Yeah.
get you on the field.
Yep. Exactly. And I was like, all right, my freshman year, I was like, let's roll it. And, I'll do it. I don't really care. I'll play defensive end, but at the end of the day, they know what's best and they know what's best for the team, and you just gotta listen to them. And that's sometimes the hardest thing to do because you come with a lot of these people that are thinking they're top notch people. Like, no, I'm playing this position. You're not gonna move me. I had a couple of those people on my team like that, and I was like, dude, like, come on.
Yeah.
And those people ended up not being successful in football. So.
What would you say if you had to give one piece of advice to like maybe a younger person listening or somebody that's in their first year or two of college or a high school? Like if you had to give one piece of advice to them, like as a college athlete, what would you say?
Ooh, that's a tough question. There's a lot of things I could say. For me, I would probably say, don't give up. My freshman year, I remember like my third week of camp, me and my buddy sat down. We're like, dude, I don't want to do this anymore. And I called my mom, and I was like, actually, like, teared up, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to play football anymore. Like, it's not. I don't love it. And people always say, "Mama's know best," and she's like, "Stick it out. It's gonna be worth it." And she was damn right. It was worth it. I stuck it out. And for the people out there listening and going to listen to this podcast, shit's gonna get tough playing sports. You're not gonna have all that free time that you see your other friends having. Going out to parties and drinking and doing whatever you want. You got to really learn how to manage your time, and at the end of the day, it's going to be really worth it. Sit down, get your grades, get that degree, cherish those times with your boys. those winter workouts at 5 a.m. I miss that,
I do too.
But during the season or during the winter workouts, I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
But now looking back at it, it was awesome
Yeah.
because you're in there with people that want to work, and you just can't beat that type of bond that you guys share.
Yeah, I feel like everybody goes through that point, especially even as just a college student.
Yeah.
Because you're away from home.
Yep.
It's a new environment. Like you honestly, you don't have mom or dad anymore.
Nope.
Like you're legit on your own, and you go through that spell. And especially if you're a college athlete, no free time, you're busy 24/7. You're trying to fit in homework when you can.
Yep.
You might be up till 3 a.m, and you also got a 5 a.m. lift, whatever it is. But like you said, just keep going. You got to give it a shot.
Can't quit.
And like the big thing is I think we've already talked about it. You have to at least get through that first year.
It gets a lot better too.
It does. Every year it gets better. Because classes might get a little harder sometimes.
Yeah.
I remember there's I think everybody always said your junior year, everybody always told us, I don't know how it was then, your junior year is going to be the worst.
Yeah.
Academically. It is going to suck because you're going to take a lot of hard classes.
Yep.
You might even take more classes than you thought because I'm fine, and then you do it and it's like this sucks.
Yeah.
And everybody kept telling me, and I'm like, whatever. And then you get to junior year and you're like, this blows.
Yeah. But at that time you've
at that point
you worked yourself up to where you know how to time manage.
Yeah.
And that's one of the key things you learn playing college sports is time management, and people don't realize like how detrimental that is to your life in general. Because once you get older, you're going to have a family, you're going to have kids, you're going to have a job, you're going to have friends, you're going to have a social life. You got to be able to manage all that.
Yeah. I actually had Trevor Garber. You know who he is?
Yep.
Yeah. So he actually, him and Trevor Scott, they trained me in high school at Elite.
Yep.
Is what it was then.
Elite One Fitness, I think. Yeah. Yep.
And Trevor actually messaged me the other day and was like, "What do I got to do to get you to come coach?" And I was like, "Give me more time in a day."
You know what's funny that he actually just messaged me yesterday and offered me a spot to coach with him at middle school. I was like,
I told him yes last year, and I'm like, dude, I just with my work schedule right now, I'd feel bad committing to it and then messing up one or like him or my boss. Like I don't want to fuck with either of them. So like I'm like, dude, I don't want to commit to something that I can't give my full attention to.
Yeah, exactly.
So I told him I was like, probably not for it until like unless I move to a different job where I like legit have a set schedule, because mine, I never know exactly when I'm getting off.
And I mean, that's what I said too. Like, I'm not going to go into something that I can't do 100%.
Yeah.
And it's just not fair to the kids or you.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something I want to look into one day, coaching.
I was going to ask you, like, is coaching something that you see in the future? I feel like we all, as a college athlete, especially, we all kind of like have that.
Because all the skills you learn playing college football, you want to give back to the people that have those dreams and kind of be a role model to those kids and everything. And it's kind of a cool spot to be in, saying you play college football and all these kids are like, yeah, like, how was it? Like, what do I got to do to do that? And you can lead them down the right path to be able to accomplish those dreams of them. So, yeah, it's definitely something that definitely later in life that I'm definitely going to partake in for sure. Yeah.
I coached some third, fourth, and fifth graders basketball this winter. That was fun.
Probably a little interesting.
It was interesting was the word. They didn't keep score, which was weird because it was a church league. It was my nieces. They played on the team, or one of my oldest niece. Me and my brother-in-law coached them, and didn't keep score. Nobody ran plays. Like you didn't, and you had one practice a week.
Yeah.
And play like we practiced. What was nice for us, we practiced Friday night, played Saturday morning, so it worked out well. Like, all right, this is fresh in your mind. We didn't have practice on Monday, and then come Saturday, you guys just lose everything.
Well, at that age, you don't really take it.
No,
it's not how they're wired.
It's just that they just want to talk.
Yeah.
So me and my brother-in-law found out the first practice, like we had them in one line, and then we were like, we can't do that. We got to split them up into two groups because otherwess they're standing around talking too much. We just got to keep them moving because we only got an hour too. That was the crappy part.
Yeah. That's tough to develop kids and all that for amount of time too.
So I got a question. All right, so I'm going to move into like our final segments of the podcast. And the first, I have a question that I like to ask all my guests. If you could go back in time and tell your 16-year-old self one thing, what would it be? And this would be you'd have been about a sophomore in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an interesting one because I feel like a lot at that point, a lot's going on.
Yeah, definitely as a 6-year-old, you hit puberty or whatever, your mind's just racing about everything in the world. You just got your driver's license. You feel oh yeah, I'm a badass. I can go drive and go 70 down 35 or whatever. You know what I mean? But who if I had to tell myself one thing as a 16-year-old, um, definitely don't take life for granted. Um, when you get punched, you got to keep rolling because in life, it's as you get older, it's going to get harder, and that's definitely very true. Because growing up, you have everything handed to you by your parents, and once you get on your own, you're like, oh shit, now I got to do this on my own. I got to pay for all this, and
I have bills.
yeah, exactly. And um, you just got to take it day by day, and you can't get too stressed. If someone does you wrong, I learn not to hold regrets against people.
That's
'Cause-
big. That's big. I like
because
that.
everybody's gonna make mistakes in life. I've made plenty of them, but also you learn from them, and that's huge. And you can learn from mistakes that were done to you. How that felt to you and how
Oh heck,
it
I
affected
can.
you, and you take that with you the rest of your life, and it kind of shapes you into the person that you're gonna be. There's plenty of examples I could say, but I'm not going to. But I've shit like I struggle with like mental stuff before because
Yeah.
people have done me wrong, and I feel like I didn't deserve stuff like that. But now looking back at it, I'm like I thank them for doing that because now I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna do that to anybody now, and I'm gonna let that turn me and use that as motivation to be like, all right, thank you, and you know you can't get too down on yourself either.
Yeah.
That's also a big thing because like I'm going back to college. I was a first team, all conference and all region, and I go to my junior year. I'm like, oh damn, second team. I was a little bit down on myself. My D line coach saw that. He was like, can't do that. This is going to affect how you play. And I was like, whatever. Yeah, you're right. It's about the team, really, what it comes down to. And I just kind of like, at the end of the day, I was like, I'm not doing this for me. At the end of the day, I'm doing this for the team. And it was great. I got over that. And it was honestly, really a big hump in my college career after my junior year. And it was, I don't know. It's sometimes hard to explain how it
Yeah.
feels. You just gotta
I like that
roll
you
with
said
it.
like you're gonna get punched, and like
Mhm.
that brings me to the Rocky Balboa quote.
Yeah.
I actually have a poster of it in my room, and the world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very
Uh-huh.
mean and nasty place, and I don't
Oh
care
yeah.
how tough you are, it'll beat you to your knees, keep you there permanently if you let it.
Yep.
There's more to it, but I won't keep going. But like, it's true. Like, and it goes with the whole slogan of this podcast, which is "Grab the bull by the horns." And it's like, the bull is life. We are the bull rider.
Yeah.
You're gonna get knocked down, but
Yep.
you can either let it walk all over you, you can
Mhm.
get up and just take control. And it's really how life goes. You have two options. You can lay down,
Yep.
or you can just, like me and my brother said, nut up or shut up. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty much all it is.
And you control your life at the end of the day.
Yeah.
People.
Nobody controls how your emotions, nobody controls how you react to things, nobody controls anything
Yeah.
but you.
Yeah, exactly. In this soft ass world we live in now, it's like people want to point fingers. This is cliche too, but when you point a finger, you got 3 point back at you.
Yep.
And people are like, "Oh, that's stupid" or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's true.
Yeah.
Like
We learned that one like first grade.
Yeah, and it was like no one wants to listen to that. I definitely didn't listen to it when I was young, but now looking back at it when you're more mature and experience life a little more, you're like, well, damn, you're right. It's no one's fault but mine.
Exactly. But this moves us into the best segment of the podcast, which is Motivation Monday. Motivation Monday is the point in the episode where I love a guest to give the Roughnecks listeners a little inspirational bump to set the tone for their week as they listen on Monday morning. So what do you got for Motivation Monday?
So I didn't really know what I was going to say when I first come in here, but I was going to see how the conversation went. I feel like our main gist of this conversation was, never quit. You control your own destiny at the end of the day. You're going to run into rough patches in your life, but the big question is how you're going to overcome them. How are you going to make your life better each by every day? And that's how I kind of look at it. And what I'm about to go into is like step by step. Celebrate the little wins in life. It might be something like, like in golf. Like I golf now and it's kind of crazy. People like, golf's like, it's not a physical sport, but it's mental as hell. And like, you come in and you get a birdie. You got to celebrate that win. It's a little.
You actually get birdies?
Not very many of them, but when I do, you gotta celebrate. You gotta celebrate the little wins in life because when you do that, you're gonna really realize the big one's coming soon. And when you get to big one, that's when you feel really good about yourself, and there's no one else that can take away from you besides yourself. And you got to really cherish those little wins. That's a big thing that people don't understand. Like with everything, like if you're starting to get in lifting, and you hit 225 for the first time, that's a huge win. Then you hit 235. All right, no one really cares about 235, but in your head, like that's 10 more pounds, and people don't really understand how much of a big difference that is. And you just gotta enjoy the little things and the little wins in life, because the big one's coming. You never know when it's gonna happen, but when it does, you're gonna be like, damn, it's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. The little things, like we've already kind of talked about, people skip over the little things sometimes. You can't skip over the little things. You have to celebrate those little wins. You have to worry about the little steps. And we heard it in football. It's the little fundamentals that matter the most, like hand placement.
Oh,
I mean, how many times did you hear that?
Oh, my Lord.
Like, it is the smallest things in life that sometimes matter the most.
Yep.
Which it's weird to think about. The big things sometimes are just the little side factors.
Yep.
But they're more obvious. It's the little things. And it kind of goes back to like the work. It's like behind the scenes stuff. It's the little things that nobody saw that got you to where you were.
Yeah.
Like nobody saw you probably putting in the time in the weight room by yourself. Nobody saw you, on a diet or eating certain things to bulk up to, be able to play the position you played. How much weight did you put on from high school to
40 pounds?
Damn.
Yeah. I was 260 by my senior year. Yeah, so now I'm back at like 215 range. So it
had to get rid of some of that weight.
Yeah, it wasn't, it was cool. I had to do what I had to do to be able to be successful at my position, but now I don't need to carry around 260 anymore. So, but
yeah, you actually work out there at Apex Fitness Center.
Yeah, shout out to Apex.
Yeah, I'll give both the Trevors are actually on this podcast, but Trevor's been on, Trevor Scott. He was one of the very early episodes, episode 16, I want to say.
Yeah.
So he's back on in the very beginning of this podcast. So, but shout out there. If you guys are in the Licking County area and need a gym, go to Apex.
Yeah, look it up. It's a great environment.
24/7.
Yep, 24/7. Whenever you want to go and work out, you can. And
or you can do the other. There's another version that you can only go in during hours, but I think it's cheaper. But the 24/7, I mean, it's $20 for 24-hour access, which is awesome.
And there's there's a protein bar. You can get protein shakes. You can get pre-workout, caffeine, whatever you want. They have it there.
I'm pretty sure there's some. Is there some Leo supplements in there?
Yeah. Yep.
So Connor's been on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's actually her cousin.
I actually bought this pre-workout from Apex.
Next time, order it online.
Okay.
Because if you go online and use the discount code Roughnecks, you get 10% off.
Oh, there we go.
So
that's perfect.
Yeah, go on. I was gonna say something about that. Yeah, he has his stuff in there, but it's a great little gym.
Yeah, it is. It's a good. You have everything you need in there, and there's like this. My favorite part's called the pit.
Oh, I love the pit. That's where I always worked out. I was away from everybody.
Yeah, you can play your own music as loud as you want. There's this squat rack, place deadlift and bench. You got all three things you need for the, and it's great. It's a great little place to be. And I always like working out by myself. I don't know. It's just kind of a thing I like to do. But people are different. People like working out with partners or whatever, but you can do that too.
I think the only reason I liked working out with a partner was it made me more consistent. Like it actually kind of got me to get. That's how me and Dante always worked out together in high school, and that's how we were. Like we didn't want to let each other down. So like if somebody was like, "Hey, we're going,"
we're going.
Like, you're going. There's no backing out.
No
if
doubt.
You're by yourself and you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym after work," and you're like, "Yeah, nobody's counting on me," which sucks. And it's a mental thing too. Like that, I think a lot of consistency comes down to the mental toughness type of stuff.
And like going back to what I said, like little wins, like me going to the gym by myself is like a little win. Because if I don't do it, I feel like a piece of shit.
And that's something nobody sees.
Yeah.
Nobody sees that.
And no one feels it besides me.
Exactly.
So yeah.
But hey, I think that's a good place to wrap up this episode. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate that. Episode 99. Maybe you leave in August, right?
July.
Oh damn. It's coming up soon too. That's what it doesn't seem like it's that close.
It's 2 months away, or a little over 2 months, but it's gonna go by a blink of an eye, and I'm ready to get after it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Best of luck to you.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll keep in contact, but I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Until Friday, episode 100, you guys know the deal. Life is hard. It's going to knock you down just like a bull does to a bull rider. Don't let the bull of life walk all over you. Get up, grab the bull by the horns, and take control of your life. Roughnecks, out. Thank you all for tuning in to this week's episode of the Roughnecks Podcast. If you like today's episode, then be sure to subscribe, rate, and review, and share it with a friend if you got some value from it. Head over to social media and follow the Roughnecks Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and subscribe to that YouTube channel. Don't forget to get you some of that merch by heading over to roughneckspodcast.com and subscribe to the newsletter while you're there. See y'all next week. Roughnecks out.